Okay, so we've got a question here that talks about factorising an expression involving two terms. We look at these and we can see that there's a common factor. Because of that, then we know that the factorisation is going to be a single bracket. So we go for the idea that we need a single bracket and we need the highest common factor outside. And when we look at this, we can see that both 9 and 6 divide by 3, and both a squared and a divide by a. And the bit that goes in the bracket then is what's left to multiply 3a by to give us 9a squared. Well, that's going to be 3a again. And what do we multiply 3a by to give us 6a? Well, we multiply by 2, but we need a minus, so we put a minus there. So the idea of factorising then is to look for factors. Starts with the word factor. And because we've got a common factor to both terms, then it's going to be a single bracket factorisation, not a double. And we look for the highest common factor to go outside the bracket, and we go through each of the bits, the numbers first, the coefficients first, and we find the highest common factor of 6 and 9 is 3. And then we do the letter term, parts of the terms, and we've got a squared and a, and both of those will divide by an a. Can't do a squared because a does not divide by a squared as a factor. And then we work out what goes inside the bracket by thinking about what's needed to multiply the highest common factor by to give you back the original term. So 3 times 3 is 9, a times a is a squared, 3 times 2 is 6, and it's already got an a, so an a, and the takeaway means we've got the takeaway there. So the answer here is going to be 3a takeaway 2. This question is asking us to solve a quadratic. Solving a quadratic is telling us to factorise first, then find x. Now this expression here it does not have a common factor to all terms, so therefore it's going to be two brackets. With practice you've got to learn that to make x squared we need to multiply an x by an x. To make 20 we need to multiply two numbers at the end here, and they then must add to give us negative 12. So to make a positive become negative we're going to need two negatives here, so both of these are going to be takeaways. And if we look carefully, to make negative 12 we need 10 and 2, so it's going to be 10 and 2. Negative 10 plus negative 2 makes negative 12. Negative 10 times negative 2 makes positive 20. And that then equals 0. For this to happen then each of the brackets must equal 0. So x take away 10 equals 0, tells us that x is worth 10. And x take away 2 equals 0, tells us that x is worth 2. So the answer here is x is either 10 or x is 2. Quite a hard topic, factorising, on the foundation papers, but it's going to be one of those topics that occurs quite often because it links in quite nicely with the higher papers. It is a technique that once you've learned some patterns with it, it tends to be fairly straightforward. So if you've got time, it's worth practicing it. So that's how that question could be answered. Okay, so it's talking about Adam and 6 other men, and it's telling us what the times were for the 6 other men, and it's saying the mean time for all 7 was this. Did Adam win the race? So in other words, we've got to work out Adam's time. So we know what the time were for the 6 men. So the 6 men's times total equals, well, it's a calculator paper, so 9.75 plus 9.79 plus 9.8 plus 9.88 plus 9.94 plus 9.98 equals, so 59.14 seconds. The 7 men's times total equals 7 times 9.83. So 7 times 9.83 equals 68.81. So Adam's time is 68.81. Take away 59.14. So take away 59.14 equals 9.67 seconds. Okay, so 9.67 is smaller than any of those, so yes, he did win the race. So yes, Adam did win the race. Okay, so let's see how this question worked. We knew the mean time for all 7 was this, and to work out the mean, then we'd have done the total time for 7 men divide by 7 men. So therefore, to work out the total time for the 7 men, we had to do 7 times the mean. So that's why we did 7 times the mean. We got the total of their times for all 7 of them. The 6 men's times total was quite straightforward, just add up the times for each of them. Then Adam's times must be the difference between those two. We can see that that is smaller than any of the other times by the other 6 people, so he must have won the race. Okay, so reverse means quite popular. Just think of the logic of what the mean average means. So you have to think about your definitions, think about how you calculate these things, and not just do a process.